Hello, welcome to day 12 of the Gospel according to Child Protection and Safeguarding. How are you doing? Do you know where your children are, or do you know what they are up to? Remember, we said that we were going to break this series into different segments, so we're dealing with the home front now. So today we'll be talking about a child's first classroom. A child's first classroom. And as always, we start with a quote. And today's quote is by Jess Lear. There's an American pronunciation and there's a British pronunciation. Children are not things to be molded, but people to be unfolded. Children are not things to be molded, but people to be unfolded. Before a child learns from the world, a child learns from home. If there's anything that a child learns, he learns first from home. Long before a child gets into a classroom or gets into school, education has already taken place. The first lessons of life are not learned from the textbook, but they are learned from the living room, the bedroom, the dining table, family conversations, sibling squabble. That's where children learn first. And just so parents would know, you're your child's first teacher, just like we said, you're your child's mentor, you're your child's first teacher. So what are you teaching your children? The home is their classroom. Everything they have to learn is right there. That's the world where they play, so that's where they learn. And you have several teachers. As a mother, you're a teacher. As a father, you're a teacher. Now, you know the funny thing, which we usually don't think about, your caregivers are teachers. The driver is a teacher. The maid is a teacher. If you have a gardener, he's a teacher. If you have a grandmother staying with you, she's also a teacher. Children will never forget the atmosphere in which they grew up in. I've heard people describe Sunday mornings in their house. My friend will say, Sunday morning smells like shortbread. It's so funny, but I'm like, really? It's like, yes. I look forward to Sunday mornings. Children never forget the atmosphere in which they grew up in. I remember you are supposed to create a friendly environment for your child. So is your home safe for your children? Is it safe for that child you're raising? What exactly is the environment telling the child? What are we teaching? Do your children always remember the mistakes they made and how you made them feel? Or every time they make a mistake, were they met with correction or they were met with humiliation? Because most times we say, oh, that's how we should correct our children. This is how they should be corrected. The question you want to ask yourself about your home, being a teacher, is what exactly am I teaching my child? Because if children learn constantly from their parents, and parents, unfortunately, you are teaching what you don't intend to teach because you're not conscious of the fact that you're a teacher. Now, when a parent consistently criticizes a child, the child learns that, you know what, my identity is based off on perfection, on my self-worth. Because you are constantly criticizing the child cannot just be and express themselves. So as a parent, you have to be careful. What exactly am I teaching my child? A child learns love from the environment. So when you're in an environment where a parent constantly talks about love but never expresses it, because that's very possible. A parent never expresses love. A child grows up to understand that love is present, but love is not expressed. I have an example of that. There's someone that I know. The wife constantly complains. He never expresses love. Never. But he says, I love you. And it is frustrating. He wasn't taught to about where I fault him is this. You're an adult. You can learn. And it's not just head knowledge. It is practicality. You must practice it. I'll tell you a funny story, like a joke. Growing up, I'll say to my uncle, "Uncle, I love you." He'll say, "Mm-hmm." I said, "Is the response to I love you fufu or mm-hmm? Can't you just say I love you too?" I think I was about 10 or so, or maybe younger. And you look at me like, who is this child? Express love because you're teaching your children. If a child sees an adult shouting during a disagreement, they may just learn that conflict requires aggression. I remember there was a day myself and my friend, her husband, were having a conversation in the dining table, and our voice, the decibel was just going higher. We're talking, it was just going higher. And then we kept quiet after we were done talking. And the son turned and looked at us and said, "Must adults shout? Is that how you communicate with each other?" You know, at first, you want to rush the child. The father, what? Like, no, guy, calm down. This child is making sense. Why were we really shouting when we were talking? What was really going on? Did we forget ourselves to realize that there were children around us? So, whatever you do and whatever you don't intend to teach, the children are learning it. They are learning it. Now, the question you want to ask yourself is, do my actions reinforce my values in the classroom, which is your home? Do my actions reinforce my values in the classroom? What lesson is my child learning from me? You know that funny thing where you hear, I mean, a couple of years ago, you say, "Oh, the girl married a man, and when she was cooking, she did like this in the soup." And then you ask her, say, "I saw my mother doing this. I saw my grandmother doing this." They learned it, but nobody ever asks, "Mommy, why do you always dust your hand inside the soup?" Probably it was the remaining salt or the remaining Maggi that she was trying to dust off. But you go ahead and do the same thing. So what lesson is my child learning from me? And then how do I handle stress in front of my children? When you are stressed, are you always shouting? Do you make them feel like you're the reason why I'm stressed? What emotional habits are you teaching your children? Everything rises and falls on childhood. What do they know from you? What did they learn from you? I can tell you the many things that I learned from my parents. Unconsciously, I'm a stickler for time. I learned that from my father. He's going to leave you behind. He's not going to stay. You're not ready at the time, you find your way. He's not going to be there. Fashion, my father. He did outrightly do it, but just watching him. My mother, fashion, yeah. That's one thing I didn't learn from her. My sister took that. My mother is an avid reader. She reads a lot of novels. She speaks English. My sister. So there are so many things that you are not aware that you're teaching your children, that they are learning from you. And also remember that love can be taught. So, do your children feel secured in the love that you give? Or does it look like it is conditional? Think about it. Every day you're teaching your children something. It's either you're teaching them to be intentional or you're telling them don't be intentional. Remember that children are natural imitators. You'll be shocked at the things that your children would say about you when you're not there. They would imitate you. And so, if you know that your child can imitate the things that you do, wouldn't you be intentional about the things that you are teaching or the footprints that you're leaving in the house? Because they are following it. They're following it. Now, what do we tell our children? Sometimes, unconsciously, we're telling them to see us, but don't do what we're doing. But gone are the days where you say, do what I say. I mean, how they say it. Do what I say, don't do what I do. So I can't, it skips my head right now. I'm not sure what it is, right? But Every time you're in the house, you're teaching your children something. You're teaching them how to apologize. I have a friend, when I'm leaving, she tells her sons to go downstairs. He must walk me down the stairs. And I'm like, they don't have to. She said, no, I'm intentional about telling them what to do. How do they apologize? How their emotions are expressed? How to respect people? Sometimes we think that this thing should just jump on these children. No, they learn it from you and I. How faith is practiced. Do your children see you pray? Do they see you study the Bible? Do they see you exercise your faith? Do they see the way you treat money? Do they see how you treat people? How you treat the maid, how you treat the caregiver, how you treat the driver, how you speak to people? When you're in traffic, your road rage, everything is teaching a child. Are you one of those parents that when you buy something, you throw it out the window? You're telling your children that they are free to throw stuff out the window. They are free to litter their environment. You say no, but that's exactly what you're doing because you are teaching them. Or you pick up the call, or you pick up the phone, or there's a call and you pick it up and you're yelling on the phone. When the child picks up the phone, the first thing you want to say, hello. There's a microphone. There's a microphone embedded inside the phone. Stop shouting. Stop yelling at people. Stop teaching children. And then you say, I don't know who raised you. You raised them unconsciously. You did. By your actions. By the things you do. I know someone said to me that there are certain things that if we tell our parents, they might just die. Right? If they know that we learnt it from them. A friend of mine said that his first drink was given to him by his father. I don't think that he thought about it. And he constantly craved for alcohol as a child. Why? Oftentimes we say the parents did not know any better. How are parents speaking to each other? How? Your children will become what they consistently behold. The good book I read says, you behold to become. You behold to become. Every time your children are a replica of you, you duplicate yourself in them. So how do you talk to your spouse? How do you talk to people around you? How? What are you teaching your children? How to be disrespectful to people? I remember a child many, many years ago spoke so terribly to the caregiver and just trying to correct the child in the child's innocence. But that's the way mommy talks to her. Hello? So what's your justification for correcting the child as a parent when that's what you do? So let's be careful what we teach our children. They learn first from the home, and it's from there they go outside. Why do you think every time when a child fights in school, the first thing they ask you is, has your child ever seen any form of violence in the house? Because even the educators know that the first classroom that a child would ever belong to is the home. So I ask you today, what lesson is your child learning from you? What lesson is your child learning from you? I'll leave you with this charge. Your child is learning from you. Even when you are not teaching, they are watching how you speak, how you love, how you treat people, and how you handle failure. Build the kind of home where the lessons children learn by observations are lessons worth carrying into adulthood. Whatever you teach them is what they are going to carry and apply when they become adults. So be conscious, be intentional of the lessons you are passing on to your children, what you intend to teach and what you don't intend to teach. Remember, childhood should be preserved, and every child is your child. I'll see you tomorrow for day 13.